The shop on the side of the road. Most people never noticed the little shop on the side of the highway, because it stood quietly between a broken billboard and a small tea stall, with no bright lights, no banners, and no big advertisements, just a simple board that read, Arohi Tires, 24/7 repair service, and a girl standing outside in greasy gloves, usually covered in dust and oil, doing work that most people believed she was never meant to do. Drivers passing by often slowed down, not because the shop looked special, but because the person running it didn't match what they expected, as Arohi was young, calm, soft-spoken, and nothing like the rough, loud mechanics they were used to seeing on highways, so most of them assumed she was waiting for someone, a brother, a father, a real mechanic, but no one ever came, because she was the mechanic. Arohi didn't start this shop because it was her dream, she started it because life had stopped giving her choices, as her father had been a truck driver for more than 25 years and believed roads were honest, that they always showed you where you were going, until one rainy night when his truck slipped on a turn and his spine was damaged, not in a dramatic way that makes headlines, but in a silent way that changes everything, because the doctor said he would never be able to drive again, and in that one sentence their only source of income disappeared, leaving behind hospital bills, emotional stress, and a house full of people who suddenly didn't know what to do next. Relatives came first with sympathy and later with advice, telling Arohi to find a safe job, to start giving tuition, to open a beauty parlor, or to learn something more suitable, but none of those ideas felt real to her, because she didn't want a job that only looked good on paper, she wanted something stable, something practical, something that could not be taken away by someone's opinion. And she believed real stability came from skills, not from people feeling sorry for you. So she joined a local garage to learn tire repair, and on her first day the owner laughed and said she would leave in a week, while the workers laughed harder and told her the job was dirty, heavy, and not meant for her hands, but Arohi didn't reply, she just showed up every day, watched silently, cleaned tools, carried tires, observed how pressure was checked, how punctures were found, how mistakes were fixed, and at night she went home and watched videos online to understand everything better, because she knew that when the world doesn't take you seriously, your discipline has to be louder than your words. The first few months were the hardest, because people didn't trust her and she didn't fully trust herself either, her hands ached, her clothes smelled of rubber and oil, and sometimes she cried alone wondering if everyone else was right, but every time she thought of quitting, she remembered her father lying on the hospital bed telling her that in life the heaviest thing is not the load you carry, but the fear you carry inside, and she slowly realized that fear only disappears when you move forward, not when you wait. After almost a year of learning and saving small amounts of money, she rented a tiny space near the highway, used her father's old tools, took a small loan, and opened her own tire repair shop, and on the first day not a single customer came, on the second day one bike stopped, on the third day a car, and on the fourth day a small truck, and slowly people started returning, not because the shop was fancy, but because they felt something different there, a calm energy, no shouting, no panic. Just quiet confidence and honest work. One afternoon, a big truck broke down on the highway and the driver was under pressure because he was late for delivery, and when he saw Arohi he hesitated for a moment, but had no other option, and she fixed the problem in almost half the time he expected, without rushing, without drama, just focus, and when he paid her he said, "Today I didn't just get my tire fixed, I got my trust fixed too." And that one sentence became her real advertisement, because after that more drivers started stopping, and Arohi Tires slowly became a known name on that road. As the days passed, Arohi realized that her shop was no longer just a place to fix vehicles, it had become a place where people came with stories, stress, and sometimes even fear, because there was something about her presence that made people feel safe, and she treated every problem the same way, calmly and patiently, because she remembered what it felt like to stand in a world where nobody believed in you. One evening, a 16-year-old girl came with her mother, not because of a puncture, but because she wanted to meet Arohi, and said softly, "I want to learn this work, but everyone tells me to choose something easier," and Arohi looked at her hands and smiled, because they were the same hands she once had, and she replied, "Nothing meaningful in life starts as easy, it becomes easier only after you decide not to quit." That night, Arohi understood that her journey was no longer just about survival, it was about responsibility, because now there were people who saw her not just as a mechanic, but as proof that another life was possible, and she slowly started training other girls, teaching them not just how to fix tires, but how to face doubt, how to stay calm under pressure, and how to keep working even when the world keeps testing you. There were still bad days, days when business was slow, when tools broke, when customers complained, when money was tight, and sometimes Arohi felt tired in ways that sleep could not fix, but every time she thought of giving up, she remembered the version of herself who had nothing except belief, and she realized that if that girl had survived, then this version of her had no excuse to stop. One rainy evening, the same kind of rain that had once changed her life, a massive traffic jam happened near her shop, and dozens of vehicles were stuck, people were angry and exhausted, and Arohi kept her shop open the entire night, fixing problems, giving water, helping drivers, sometimes not even charging money, and by morning someone uploaded a video of the whole scene with the caption, "Not all heroes wear uniforms. Some just keep the road moving." The video went viral across the country, and thousands of people shared it, saying how this small shop reminded them of their own struggles, their parents, their forgotten dreams, and Arohi sat quietly reading those messages, realizing that her little shop on the side of the road had somehow become a light for people she would never even meet. Her father, who now sat outside the shop every day watching her work, said to her one morning, "I used to think roads show you where you're going, but I was wrong, roads only test you, it's you who decides the direction," and for the first time, Arohi felt that her past no longer scared her. And that is when she understood what real success meant, not fame, not money, not titles, but reaching a point where your fear no longer controls you, your story gives courage to others, and your work has meaning beyond yourself. Even today, the board outside her shop is still the same, simple and faded, Arohi Tires, 24/7 repair service, but for the people who stop there, it means hope, it means strength, it means that no matter how broken the road gets, there is always a way forward if you are willing to get your hands dirty, trust yourself, and keep moving. Because in the end, life is just a long highway, and we are all travelers, some waiting to be rescued, and some brave enough to stop, learn, and fix what others are afraid to touch.